Start with contracting sprites. Chapter 246, Arrival at Dragon City. Su Hao wasn't being humble. Butterfly was just too good at fighting. It combined the spiritual orb and illusory transformation together. Then, under his guidance, it successfully developed a new secret manual. Illusion System. Magic System. While challenging inside the real illusion, he achieved very good results with 4 sprites. It was just that his mission score was poor. Thus, after Captain Wang Qi, Senior Zhang Zaihoki and the others left the special training camp, he still couldn't get first place. Su Hao was deeply regretful. Mr. Bai was extremely shocked. His brain had already shut down. He asked 3 times. In the end, he saw the words to Su Hao on his wristband. He was finally forced to believe it. Bai Hongzhen's eyes widened into round circles. He felt as though a huge bell hit his head as his whole body buzzed. He didn't remember how he left. He just had a feeling that he wouldn't be able to see that person's back anymore. After a whole day of listening to gossip, striked off, Su Hao was very happy to see a group of classmates being tortured, striked off too. He observed the battle for a long time before assigning tasks to his few sprites. Write your reviews. Battles were always changing rapidly. As a mature sprite, it was important to know how to judge the battle situation on your own. Sprite trainers only controlled the general direction. Therefore, it was very necessary to understand enough battle methods of other sprites and immerse oneself, sprites, in them to decide the best method in dealing with similar situations. During battles, when the sprite encountered similar situations again, its reaction time would be shortened. This is my cultivation method. Sprites must have the ability to fight independently. The expressions on his few sprites collapsed immediately. As the big sister, Butterfly immediately raised its doubts. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. It retorted, why did it need to write a review? Su Hao raised a few examples to prove his point. For example, in the battle area of Whale Gate, Butterfly took up the role of sprite trainer. Or, during team battles, sprite trainers were only able to take care of 1 or 2 sprites. So you need to have your own judgment. Su Hao asked Butterfly, do you think the Dazed Crow and the others have qualifying abilities? He guessed what Butterfly wanted to say, so he immediately added, preventing it from speaking, as the big sister, isn't it reasonable and logical for you to set an example? The opposing side argued back, and in the end, both sides suffered. As a sprite trainer, Su Hao had no choice but to write a review too. He used the method of setting an example to make the little rascals do their homework seriously. It wasn't easy for him. After the final assessment and special training camp selection, time gradually approached the high school league. At the back of the special training camp area, in the high-level battle hall. At this point, the other 8 people in the school team and several instructors were all staring intently at the 2 sprites on the field. Butterfly Ferry and a Sword-Thorn Assassin. With a flash, the Sword-Thorn Assassin was able to disappear from everyone's eyes. It was hard to find it anywhere. It was definitely an extraordinary level sprite that could only make people shiver in fear. However, against Butterfly Ferry, the Sword-Thorn Assassin's speed and destructive power were completely useless. The damage it dealt were all missed. When Mentor Ma saw how the Sword-Thorn Assassin hit nothing but air with its sword, clearly treating the atmosphere as Butterfly Ferry, he shouted to stop the battle. It's done. The outcome had yet to be determined, but there was no need to do so anymore. Anyone with eyes could see that the Butterfly Ferry was handling the battle with ease. In April, it needed to use all its methods to defeat the substitute Zhou Ming's young master Cattail. While today, in the beginning of July, Butterfly Ferry easily fooled one of the main team members, Tong Shang's Sword-Thorn Assassin, into circles. Its strength was probably not much different from the ace sprites of the school team's 2nd place, Zhang Zaihoki, and 3rd place, Qinye. What a terrifying speed of improvement! What a terrifying sprite trainer! They took a look. From the beginning to the end, Su Hao didn't issue any command orders. He increasingly believed his own deduction butterfly fairy only used 60 to 70% of its strength. It's me. I lost. The official member slot is yours. Tong Shang's expression changed. After a long while, he squeezed out these words, as if he used up all his strength. It made Su Hao feel like he was a villain. But that was impossible. How could there be such a handsome villain like him? At this moment, NPC mentor Ma came forward and said to him, I have an idea. I hope you can participate in the league as a substitute member. He explained, in the league, both substitutes and main candidates can go on stage. There's no difference. The school will reward you accordingly too. The reason for my plan is to lessen the attention of other schools on our substitutes while preparing a trump card. Because you're different from your seniors. You didn't participate in as many competitions, and the outside world has limited information regarding you, it's mostly just on the sprite cultivation level. Su Hao thought for a moment and agreed. At the side, Tong Shang returned to the row of official members in a daze. But I seemed like a mere tool person, a tool person who is helping Su Hao conceal his identity. Forget it, forget it. The stronger junior Su Hao is, the more likely the school is to win the championship. Even if I can't go on stage then, being able to win the championship. Thinking about it carefully, it's pretty good too, right? Come on, junior. In the previous high school league, the champion team was Dragon City University, so this year's league was held at Dragon City University. On July 10th, the 10 members of Whale Island's school team gathered. The familiar NPCs included Mentor Ma, Mentor Sun, and Bang! 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 With waves of trembles, a strong, tall, and muscular figure that seemed to be made of granite appeared in front of Su Hao and the others. It was Heavenly King Bulletin. I'm the teacher in charge of the team for this season's league. Bring out your aura as if you're running 100 kilometers and smash Dragon City University and Fiery Bird University. If you can't smash them, I'll smash you when we return. Heavenly King Bulletin brought his own loudspeaker, so his loud and clear voice buzzed beside their ears. On top of Su Hao's head, Butterfly covered its ears with both hands and buried its head in his hair. Su Hao himself could only stand upright against Heavenly King Bulletin's terrifying gaze and his strong oppressive body. It wasn't until Heavenly King Bulletin turned and walked towards the private plane when the sense of threat that he might feel from his anus gradually faded away. Dragon City, the center of Dragon Nation. After arriving in Dragon City University with the school's plane, Su Hao took advantage of his free time to wander around. This was the first time he visited Dragon City, a bustling metropolis. Tall buildings lined the streets, and people carrying sprites could be seen everywhere. From time to time, sprite battles could be seen in parks and street communities. The cute new sprites pecked at each other. In the blink of an eye, it's almost contract season again. Su Hao's mind drifted back to 2 years ago. At that time, he contracted Silkworm Baby and stepped into the mysterious world of sprite trainers in high spirits. As expected, 2 years later, he was already a slightly accomplished master-level sprite trainer. And Silkworm Baby had also grown into a 2-year-old butterfly fairy. Time sure flies. I can't see your stupid, fat, and chubby face anymore. Gurgle. Oh, I forgot. I took a lot of pictures of you at that time. I think you even knocked over the plate while drinking milk, splashing milk all over your body. I have to search for them. Gurgle, gurgle sigma, A. You want me to delete them? It is impossible. How could he possibly delete the dark history of Butterfly? After a few years, when Butterfly became a sprite standing at the peak, Su Hao would take those pictures out again. The scene would definitely be very beautiful. He put down his cell phone. It's getting late, let's go back to our accommodation first. Mentor Ma and the others should have gotten information on the other teams. Go and take a look at how many you can defeat. Chapter 247, Experts from each school. Dragon City University was a comprehensive university, having both a cultural school and a Sprite school. Among the two schools, the Sprite school was located in the suburbs of Dragon City. In terms of area, it was slightly smaller than Whale Island University. But half of the city opposite the entrance of Dragon City University is also considered part of their campus. In fact, if you measure it properly, Dragon City University is larger than Whale Island University. The local campus was mainly categorized into living areas, teaching areas, and training areas. The flowers and trees planted on the campus were tended by wood element sprites every month. It was spring all year round and the scenery was very beautiful. The accommodations of the contestants were located in the League Village on the campus. To put it bluntly, it was a dormitory neighborhood that was used to accommodate the school teams. In a villa, the living room was arranged to look like a meeting room. Information about the various schools was shown on the huge screen in front. These are the information publicly announced by the league organizers. You can all just take a brief look. The one who spoke was NPC Mentor Ma. He was the actual person in charge of the school team. The nominal leader of the team, Heavenly King Bulletin, was only assigned the role because they needed someone who could exert dominance when the team attended the league, and Heavenly King Bulletin too was a heavyweight who could show off his muscles at any time. In front, Mentor Ma was pressing the remote control and flipping through the pages continuously. Su Hao went through the names of the various school team members and their sprites on the big screen. But the information was really too brief. Only names were shown, neither gender nor pictures were revealed. Mentor Ma said, there are a total of 108 Sprite universities participating in the high school league, with 10 people in each school team. Their information is submitted by the schools respectively, and then released after the assessment by the league's organizers. It's impossible to expect deriving valuable information from this. If you come across extremely detailed public information, you have to be wary whether it is a smokescreen released by some school. Of course. After all, the organizers have verified the information so they won't be fake. It's just hard to determine whether they are misleading or not. For example, our own information. He flipped to Whale Island University. The team leader, Wang Qi, was displayed on the screen. Formal team members, Zhang Zaihoki, Qin Ye, Triple X, Tong Sheng. Substitute members, Su Hao. Su Hao looked at his own information. His sprites were all listed here after all, every one of them had registered at the Association of Sprite Trainers but they only had their names on the screen too. Flaming Spirit Crow, Thunder Roaring, Butterfly Ferry, Water Cloud Horse, and Bright Night Spirit. There was no specific level information, but this sequence had some deep meaning to it. Of course, the other schools wouldn't easily believe the sequence listed above, but if someone launched an in-depth investigation, they would discover that. Butterfly stopped for a period of time due to the lack of an evolution plan, and Dazed Crow was indeed my first second stage evolved sprite. Mentor Ma is indeed cunning, but only someone as outstanding as me whose information was not revealed in time can hide from this. Su Hao touched his chin and came to a conclusion. At this moment, Mentor Ma released the second set of information. This information is detailed data gathered by our school after we were given the participants list. There were 20 identification pictures on the screen. They were the school team members of Dragon City University and Fiery Bird University. As for the other schools, there was no need to emphasize on introducing them. They weren't underestimating their opponents, but rather, they had the confidence and courage of a prestigious school. Wang Dong, captain of the Dragon City University's team. His ace sprite is a golden body Buddha. The corresponding image was released on the screen. It was a golden Buddha statue with a golden halo behind its head. Mentor Ma said, Wang Dong's golden body Buddha is a very comprehensive sprite. It has no shortcomings in close-quarter combat, long-range attack, defense, and speed. Moreover, it cultivated a secret manual, Golden Body of Earth. When it is used, its defensive power can increase 10 to 100 times. It practically won't be harmed, and it also has. He gave an example in the game. It also has the super armor effect. Regardless of control or illusion, none of them can be effective against it. When used, it can also eliminate all the negative effects on the Golden Body Buddha. In the League, if it uses the Golden Body of Earth, it's equivalent to being invincible. You don't have to waste your energy to attack it. But as the saying goes, there are no invincible skills. Wang Dong's Golden Body Buddha's Golden Body of Earth is estimated to only last 3 to 5 seconds. The consumption of casting it is very high, so there's no need to worry too much. Mentor Ma took a sip of wolfberry water before continuing. The second person I want to talk about is Gongai Tianrui. You have to pay more attention to this person. Gongai Tianrui is the captain of Fiery Bird's school team. His ace sprite is Fiery Bird. It specializes in attack, speed, and life-saving. The school found out that the information on this Fiery Bird only stopped updating a year ago. A year ago, during the previous high school league, Gongai Tianrui was an official member of Fiery Bird's school team. Furthermore, his strength at that time was already ranked among the top 5. Now, no one can say for sure how strong that Fiery Bird is. He's reputed to be the strongest team captain in the history of Fiery Bird University. When you meet his Fiery Bird, you have to be extra careful. Then, Mentor Ma introduced the other team members from the 2 prestigious schools. He didn't forget about the substitutes either. Among the substitutes of Dragon City University, there was actually someone who was also a freshman like Su Hao. Too strong, too strong. As expected of strong people from prestigious schools. They can all defeat veteran masters at such a young age. All of them are monsters. Especially since the Dazed Crow and the Big Fat Bear were only elite levels. When facing the trump cards of the members from prestigious schools, no matter which sprite they faced, it was difficult for them to win. Too strong. How long had it been since he felt such fierce pressure? Butterfly, what do you think? Gurgle. It called. It only took a glance at the content on the big screen before it lowered its head, stared at Su Hao's cell phone, and sank into contemplation. At the same time, in a conference room in Dragon City University, a bald instructor was introducing information about Fiery Bird University and Whale Island University. You need to be careful with Fiery Bird's captain, Gongai Tianrui. In the team battle, as long as we can get rid of that Fiery Bird, we can win for sure. As for Whale Island University, the bald instructor scanned the information. The official members aren't weak, but that's all. None of them are particularly outstanding. With our lineup, as long as we fight steadily against Whale Island University, we can take them down. Instructor, there's a freshman substitute from Whale Island University. Will he be a hidden trump card? Asked a team member. Immediately, someone shook his head. Do you think everyone can perform beyond expectations like Little Ching? No matter how outstanding he is, he's just a freshman. How special can he be? Someone looked at the bald instructor with a questioning look. The instructor opened the information. This first-year student Su Hao comes from an ordinary family background. He won the title of provincial champion in Tianese province during the college entrance examination. He's a very outstanding student. There was no lack of admiration in the bald instructor's tone. But of course, he's just an ordinary person, not a natural-born domainer. Whale Island University probably placed him in the school team with the intention of letting him train. After all, substitutes could also fight with many top students from other schools. It was very helpful in broadening one's horizons and accumulating experience. The bald instructor said, this student is very likely to become Whale Island University's trump card when he reaches his 3rd or 4th year, but now. All the school team members in Dragon City understood what their instructor meant. They didn't need to pay too much attention to him for the time being. Even if he becomes very strong when he reaches his 3rd or 4th year, our school has Lanqing. When she reaches her 3rd or 4th year, I think it's possible that she can single-handedly sweep through Whale Island and Fiery Bird. Even now, Lanqing's strength is still. Compared to ordinary people like us, natural-born domainers always perform beyond expectations. As they spoke, many people turned to look at the girl who had been sitting at the end of the table in silence. She was young, and had long, black, beautiful hair falling like a waterfall. Her fringe was neat and tidy, covering her brows. She just sat there and didn't say a word, but she had an ethereal and indistinct aura, that detached her independent self from the rest of the world and other ordinary people. Lanqing, 17 years old. When she was 15, a special ability was awakened inside her. She was known as half a heavenly king domainer. And her domain was wind. Wind speaker, Lanqing. Chapter 248, You Might Not Believe Me. The high school league began in mid-July and ended in early August. At this point, there were still a few days left until the start of the league. These few days was very precious to Su Hao. Junior Su Hao, aren't you going to train? In a training hall booked by Whale Island University, Zhang Zihuqi asked Su Hao, who was about to leave. Su Hao pointed at Dazed Crow, Big Fat Bear, and Bright Night Spirit before replying, Senior, I'll leave the 3 of them to you. I'm going to study. Study. As the saying goes, knowledge is power. My butterfly fairy's cultivation method is different from normal sprites. The library is the most suitable place for cultivation place. As Su Hao spoke, he waved and left. But Zhang Zihuqi heard the butterfly fairy cry with a questioning tone. He shook his head. I must have heard wrongly. The speed of improvement of Junior Su Hao's butterfly fairy is so exaggerated, it must have some extraordinary cultivation methods. Dragon City University's library. Su Hao got off the dumb unicorn, waved his hand, and let it play with the other mount sprites outside the library. There was a mount amusement park dozens of meters away. The dumb unicorn galloped away. Su Hao looked at the grand building in front of him. It was more than 10 floors high. His eyes couldn't help but light up, as if he saw a pleasant prompt with a ding-dong sound. It's said that Dragon City University's library has the richest collection of books. Let me see what exactly is in the library today. Su Hao straightened his clothes and arranged his hair before walking in. He glanced to the right. There was a door lock at the entrance of the escalator. Students from Dragon City University were swiping their cards to enter. He also had a student card, but unfortunately, it was from Whale Island University. He came to the front desk. Hello, I'm a student from Whale Island University. I want to enter your library. May I know if I need to? Whale Island University. The young lady at the front desk was stunned for a moment before she realized that the high school league was about to begin. During this period of time, there were many extra students from other schools. But why would a professional league player come to the library? Shouldn't he go to the training hall? What exactly was he thinking? She looked up and saw a face that made her dazed for a few seconds. Other contestants are at the training hall, but this handsome guy came to the library. As expected, outstanding people are always unique. Su Hao didn't know what the receptionist was thinking. He only felt that the service attitude of the Dragon City University staff was indeed excellent. He filled in his name, cell phone number, and took a temporary reader card before walking towards the 2nd floor of the library. A house of gold and intelligence points would definitely be found in books. Su Hao opened a book titled Bard's Travels and read it with relish. The owner of the story, Bard, was an elephant general. It had challenged many experts and traveled to many areas in the New World. Most importantly, Bard's writing was excellent. He used clever designs to write his real experiences into interesting plots. Su Hao took a look and was immediately immersed in the book until he could not extricate himself. Indeed, reading brings joy, learning brings improvement. He was a person who loved to learn and couldn't resist the temptation of the library at all. He took a few more books from the bookshelf. With books like Sprite Commandeering Heavens, Sprite Continent, Demon Ghost Master, Golden Bottle, Silver Bottle, and so on, he solved a lot of great mysteries from reading them. Of course, as a qualified Sprite trainer, Su Hao also chose suitable Sprite readings for Butterfly. For example, 365 Ways to Construct an Illusion, Illusion Modeling, from Entry Level to Master, How to Use Illusion to Achieve Immersive Visual Effects, and so on. Looking at Butterfly not saying a word with a serious face, Su Hao knew that it loved to read. What he said to Senior Zhang was true. When Butterfly gathered enough knowledge and strong mental strength to construct a complete illusion world, it gurgle, gurgle. You've finished reading it and you want to read my book? Wait, I'm left with the last chapter. Gurgle. It stared righteously. Su Hao, ___. He reluctantly changed to the next book. Suddenly. You are Su Hao. Why are you here? Did you come with your instructor? Su Hao turned around and saw a very ordinary young man with some sparse hair. He must be a university monk too. He said, "Oh, it's you." Yes, I came with my instructor. At the same time, he kept searching through his memories, trying to recall the person in front of him. Who exactly was he? After thinking for a while, he still couldn't find any clues at all. He could only continue with the awkward conversation. The young man asked, "Why didn't you participate in the competition in June? You're going for the competition next month, right? By the way, did you and your instructor come here for any recent activities?" As Su Hao chatted, he vaguely felt that something was wrong. He glanced at Butterfly who was quietly reading, and suddenly remembered Butterfly's photographic memory talent. Through the contract, he quietly asked who the person in front of him was. Butterfly glanced up and responded by contract, "Gurgle gurgle, gurgle." Then, it lowered its head to continue reading. Instantly, Su Hao remembered. It was him, Li Hongzhou. Last year, during the Sprite Cultivation Cup, Mr. Li was the captain of Dragon City University's representative team. Su Hao raised questions that allowed his score to increase exponentially, completely throwing off the representative team of Dragon City University, which was ranked second place at that time. Later on, Su Hao heard that Whale Island's representative team had not only broken the legend of Dragon City University's N-times champion streak, they even created a new legend during that Sprite Cultivation Cup. The legend of the highest score difference between the first and second place in history. Thinking about it, old Li in front of him started to look familiar. He was a good person. I heard you published another evolutionary thesis. You came here with your instructor for a certain research project this time, right? Listening to Mr. Li's words, the corners of Su Hao's mouth twitched. He finally understood where the sense of incongruity came from. He reached out to interrupt and asked. Wait, the instructor you're talking about is the instructor of the discussion team? Yeah, or the research team? They are quite similar, right? Cough cough, the instructor I'm talking about refers to a Heavenly King level Sprite trainer. Li Hongzhou was stunned. Heavenly King professor? There's indeed a high school league recently, but aren't you a Sprite cultivator? Wait. He seemed to have thought of something, but he quickly denied it. The next second, he heard. You may not believe it, but I'm indeed a student of the Sprite Trainer Academy. This time, I'm here to participate in the high school league. I'm just a small substitute not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. Li Hongzhou. The person in front of him, the genius Sprite cultivator who led Whale Island University to victory in the Sprite Cultivation Cup, thereby gaining the favor and praise of many Sprite cultivators, the student who had published several research papers including heavyweight spiritual force consolidation papers and had a personal laboratory in his first year, was actually a student from Sprite Cultivation College. And he was even qualified to participate in the high school league.
What the f***ck? Li Hongzhou recalled his own hard work along the way. He recalled his strands of hair that had passed away due to the hepatothesis. Then, he looked in front of him. Not only was Su Hao's hair thick, he was younger, more handsome, and Su Hao was 100 times better than him. He thought of gulping lemons down internally. In fact, he was really very envious and jealous. He was both envious and sad, so sad that he wanted to cry. He forced a smile and left in a hurry after a few words. Su Hao looked at the disappearing figure that seemed a little bleak. He couldn't help but touch his hair. What a strange person! Chapter 249, Opening Ceremony and Rules. July 15 was the official start of the high school league. Early in the morning, Su Hao and the others set off from the Pro League village to a large battle hall in Dragon City University. On the way, he noticed that there were more people on campus, but it wasn't as crowded as he had imagined. Su Hao knew the reason. The high school league was indeed the only large-scale competition made public to ordinary people, but it was a live broadcast. Although there were live audiences present, the audience were elites from various industries, leaders from various schools, reporters who were permitted to come, and cheerleaders from various schools, etc. Fatty Ren wanted to come, but he couldn't get a slot. The only way he could enter was to dress as a cheerleader. But Fatty Ren wasn't one. With that figure, even if he was dressed as a female, he would be eliminated. Su Hao heard that Fatty Ren rented a villa outside Dragon City University and watched the TV live stream up close in a rich and benevolent way. They entered the battle hall through a small door. The whole battle hall was bustling with noise and excitement, but when it was about time, Su Hao discovered that only half of the audience seats were occupied. Those who didn't know much would think that the high school league wasn't popular. The opening ceremony was approaching. At this moment, a figure in a black suit flew into the sky, as his penetrating voice spread far and wide. Everyone, please be quiet. Now, let me introduce the important guests of this year's league. A certain president, a certain heavenly king, a certain. Some of the people mentioned were big bosses that Su Hao had heard of, while some others were big bosses that he had never heard of before. Those should be big bosses active in the new world. The host in a suit didn't give a very grand introduction, nor were there any cameras around. After the host read out the names of some big bosses, he changed the topic. Now, the two specially invited commentators will explain the rules of the competition to everyone. With the help of psychic power, the host flew down from the audience seats. At the same time, the central screen finally started to function as a man and a woman appeared on the screen. Hello, everyone. I'm Huangtian Li, the commentator for this season, the man in his 30s on the left said with a smile. Hello, everyone. I'm the commentator for this tournament, Siu Rong, the young woman on the right said with a smile too. The big screen displayed their identities. They were both master-level sprite trainers. Among them, Huangtian Li had become a master 8 years ago, and was now a quasi-heavenly king. He possessed very rich battle and commentary experience. He had once commented on the Supernova Cup, a competition of higher standard than the high school league. It was just not publicized. The beautiful female commentator, Siu Rong, was also an experienced commentator who explained countless competitions of various sizes. In the following matches, we will explain the unique skills, profound meanings, and secret teachings of sprites to the audience and unveil the mystery of the world of sprite trainers. Huangtian Li said, for this league, the participants include Dragon City University, Whale Island University, Fiery Bird University, Black Dragon University, Magic City Sprite University, Yunhua Sprite University. The 108 universities have gathered the top students from the various universities and formed 108 teams to bring us exciting battles. Now, let me read the rules of the league. He paused for a moment before continuing. The high school league is a team competition with schools as units. The whole league is divided into 2 stages, the group stage and the elimination stage. During the group stage, the 108 universities will be divided into 4 groups. Each group will consist of 27 universities, and each university team will have to battle the other schools in the group. Finally, the 4 teams with the highest scores in each group, which makes it a total of 16 teams, will advance to the elimination round. The group match is a round-robin battle. 5 contestants from each school team will take turns to fight, and each contestant can only send out 1 sprite. Once all 5 opponents and their 5 sprites are defeated, the team will win. In the lounge, Suhao slowly typed out a question mark. The league rules that he previously understood didn't seem to be like this. Mentor Ma gave him a look and said, every team has to fight 26 rounds during the group match. If we fight according to the combat simulation rules, how long would it take? Besides, Dragon City University doesn't have that many combat venues. There's also an unspoken rule. Among the 4 groups, we, Dragon City University, and Fiery Bird University are definitely divided into different groups to avoid encountering each other in the early stages. As expected, commentator Huang continued. The top 16 elimination rounds will be carried out in the form of team combat. What is team combat? I'll explain it in detail. The team to reach the top is the final champion of this high school league. They will receive rich prizes provided by the Association of Sprite Trainers, the sponsors Green Shade Group, Red Lotus Group, and other partners. At the opening ceremony, after announcing the rules of the competition, the 2 sprites of the commentators started a performance match on the battlefield below. There was no clear winner, but the cool effect of the 2 extraordinary level sprites' unique skills was enough to make every ordinary person kneel down in front of the TV while watching the live stream. Many audience and participating students were also staring fixedly at the 2 sprites on the field. A Moon Empress and a Thunderous Pig King. Especially that graceful and noble Moon Empress who wore its crown like a moon flower on its head. Every time it made a move, beautiful petals danced, causing waves of screams in the stadium. It was beautiful and powerful. No wonder Huang had the ability to become the commentator for the league. In the Whale Island University Lounge, the information about the 2 sprites in Suhao's eyes became more and more detailed as the battle continued. That Moon Empress is probably at extraordinary mid-level, while the Thunderous Pig King is much stronger than the Moon Empress, be it in terms of accumulation or killer moves. But on the field, the 2 sprites were evenly matched. They fought back and forth, surrounded by danger. Actually, it was all acting. Indeed, it doesn't matter whether it's strong or not. Eventually, beauty is the matter of a lifetime. In the afternoon, Suhao was browsing the forum. There were a lot of hot posts about the morning opening ceremony of the league. But the most popular topic among the idiotic netizens wasn't discussing which team would win the championship, or which was the most handsome contestant, but Moon Empress. The man whose dream is to become the crown, the Moon Empress is so beautiful, so strong. When I'm 16 years old, I must contract a confinement flower, sob sob sob. Can sprites have babies? I love it, I love it. The Moon Empress is mine. Draw your swords, everyone. The human-shaped sprite is very tall, Moon Dancer, Moon Empress, Fluorescent Demon, Ferry Yu Ying, Trading Puppet. When I have money, I must contract all the human-shaped sprites. A passerby, go wash up and sleep upstairs. That sprite is not something that can be obtained with money. Don't ask me how I know. I spent 5 million and still failed to evolve my sprite into a Fairy Yu Ying. The head of the Moon Empress fan club, I just want to see the Moon Empress. How is a rough battle in the league interesting? Suhao was rendered speechless. The style of this high school league was indeed not right, but one thing was for sure: having a Moon Empress, debuting as an idol, was something that could be done in minutes. Why not? He looked at Butterfly. Butterfly was also browsing the forum as it replied with a gurgle. He could only continue to browse the forum. After browsing for dozens of minutes, he came across some posts discussing the players of the league, but none of them mentioned him. The audience this year is really bad. At this moment, NPC Mentor Ma pushed open the door and entered. Come, take a look at our grouping and battlefield number. We're in the third group. The stronger schools in the group include Yunhua Sprite University and Magic City Sprite University. We're going to fight 4 rounds tomorrow. Our first opponent is Vine Demon University. Mentor Ma glanced at the school team members present. Who's going up tomorrow? Chapter 250, Group Competition, begin. Mentor Ma asked, but his gaze was fixed on the 4 reserve members, as well as a tool person who was nominally chosen but was actually a substitute. Instructor, I'll go. Su Hao put down his cell phone and said, now that my identity is a substitute, it wouldn't make sense if I didn't go on stage, right? Mentor Ma nodded. Your consideration is right. How about this, you'll be the first one to battle tomorrow. Sure. Remember not to let Butterfly Ferry go on stage. Of course. The other 4 naturally became substitutes. In fact, the trump cards of the substitutes were also extraordinary. It wasn't strange for one sprite to defeat an ordinary school team. But basically, no one would do that. That was wasteful. Even for those with capability to become members of the school teams in ordinary universities, their ace sprites will also be ranked in the upper middle class among the elite level limits, and possess their own unique battle methods. What did that mean? It meant precious experiences. In terms of a single ace sprite, they may not be inferior to the main force or even the trump cards of the special training camp members. The top students of ordinary universities are often only able to concentrate their resources to nurture an elite level limit sprite. Thus, they are unable to construct a complete team battle system. Su Hao rarely had the opportunity to battle the members from the special training camp. Now, there were many strong and suppressive contestants in the league. With so many rare opportunities in front of him, how could he miss them? I can fight 26 rounds in the group battle, 5 sprites per round. No, I can't count it that way, I can only send 1 sprite to the stage. If I lose, others will use it as an experience, but at least I have already gained a lot of experience before losing. Thinking about it this way, participating in the league was indeed a very correct decision. And he must participate this year. After all, by the next batch, the dazed crow, the big fat bear, and the dumb unicorn would definitely have reached extraordinary evil. By then, it would be useless to farm elite level experience anymore. To him, the value of the league would also be low. The next day, at the third venue, Su Hao and the others came to the venue's lounge to wait. Their battle with the Vine Demon University was the second battle in the morning. The first was Eastwood University vs Ferry Snail University. Su Hao had some impressions of Eastwood University. It was a university in Tianese province. As for Ferry Snail University, which province was it in? At this moment, the first few team members of the 2 schools appeared. They stood on the command tower and summoned their sprites. As water dragons and vines collided, the waves washed the huge rocks away. The reason why Ferry Snail University is named after sprites is that they have a very complete fairy snail cultivation system and a small sea snail cultivation base. They also have their own unique points in the development of water element unique skills. There were outstanding aspects in ordinary universities too. Su Hao looked and nodded from time to time. In particular, the 5 members of the Ferry Snail University team were all young ladies in short skirts. They were pretty good looking, so Su Hao decisively stood on the side of Ferry Snail University to cheer them on. So, Ferry Snail University lost. Looks like their hard power is limited. They still lost even with my mental support. After the first round, the staff members cleaned the venue. If they spotted any potholes, they would summon earth element sprites to fill them up immediately. The second round started very soon. First member of Whale Island University and Vine Demon University, please get ready. The judge at the side of the arena said. In the lounge, Su Hao looked at his sprites and was a little hesitant. Junior, don't be nervous. Sister will cheer you on, said a senior whose name he couldn't remember. Su Hao was rendered speechless. No, I'm just hesitating. Which sprite should I farm experience for? He looked at the big fat bear. The big fat bear immediately laid down flat, rolled left and right, rolled back and forth, and made sob sounds. He then looked at the dazed crow. Flames burned in its eyes. Sparks flew with a wave of its wings. Dumb unicorn then. The dazed crow was stunned for a moment before raising its blade to point at the dumb unicorn. However, it only managed to see the back of the dumb unicorn as it ran out of the lounge. Squawk! On the battlefield, Su Hao climbed each step of the stairs and ascended the 7 to 8 meter high command tower. In front of the high platform was a protective layer that was difficult to see with the naked eye. It could protect sprite trainers from being affected by the aftershock. Opposite him, about 100 to 200 meters away, was another command tower. A young man stood on it. Now, both contestants, please summon your sprites at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Summon. The judge waved the flag down. In front of Su Hao and Vine Demon University's first contestant, ripples appeared outside the command towers at the same time. The figures of the two sprites appeared in mid-air. Then they suddenly landed on the ground. The other party's sprite is indeed a vine demon. The vine demon evolved from the vine snake. In a sense, it could also be considered a human-shaped sprite. There was an obvious head, torso, and limbs. It was just that its head was big, its body was fat, and its legs were short. Its body was wrapped by vines with flowers growing out of them, and its eyes were hidden deep under the vines. Once the vine demon landed on the stage, its vines extended and immediately took root on the ground. The battle had begun. In the broadcasting hall, Huang Tianli and Siu Erong, two famous commentators, had just explained a battle. Now, let's look and see what exciting battles there are. At this point, it was only the early stages of the group battle. There were many battles being fought at the same time. Of course, not all battles could be shown on screen, and not all battles were worthy of the commentator's special explanation. What? Whale Island University's competition has begun. Let's transfer the scene to Whale Island University. The female commentator, Siu Erong, said with a pleasant voice. As an experienced commentator, she knew which battles were what the audience would love to watch. For example, Whale Island University, one of the 3 prestigious universities. Even if they were just bullying noobs, the audience would still accept it. The improvement in viewership ratings was far better than the even fight between 2 unknown universities. The scene of Venue 3 appeared on the screen. 2 sprites were summoned. Huang Tianli picked up the information. The first contestant of Whale Island University is Su Hao, a first-year student. The first contestant of the Vine Demon University is Zhao Yingxuan, a 4th-year student. At the same time, he's also the captain of the school team. Let's analyze the sprites of both parties, Siu Erong said. Mr. Zhao Yingxuan's sprite is a vine demon. Do you see those green-purple vines? We can speculate that those vines contain poison, and it's a sprite that can't be underestimated. And Mr. Su Hao's sprite, she paused for a moment. Huang Tianli took over and said, that's a water cloud horse, just merely an evolved form. Mr. Su Hao's choice seems a little unwise. He continued, there's a flaming spirit crow among Mr. Su Hao's sprites. In my opinion, if we send out that flaming spirit crow and make use of the attribute restraint advantage, his chances of winning would be pretty high, but the water cloud horse's attributes and form are all disadvantages. Of course, Su Hao must have summoned the water cloud horse to train his sprite. Regardless of the outcome, it doesn't matter to Whale Island University. At this moment, Siu Erong said, I saw an audience asking, that water cloud horse has scales on its body. Tianli,
what do you think about this?
Huang Tianli smiled and said, that's a mutation. It could be inherited from the previous generation of sprites, or it could have grown scales under some kind of opportunity. But no matter how mutated it is, it's only at its first stage of evolution. There's a relatively clear difference between it and the vine demon. In that case, Tianli, you're optimistic about Zhao Yingxuan. Of course, the only thing I'm not sure about right now is how long that water cloud horse can last. On the battlefield, Zhao Yingxuan couldn't help but smile when he saw that his opponent was the water cloud horse. Among the 108 universities, Vine Demon University was considered below average. As the team leader, he was under a lot of pressure. Especially after knowing that his first opponent was Whale Island University, he felt much more bitter and worried. Losing was inevitable. But they couldn't lose too badly. If they did, it was very likely to affect the whole team's morale. At first, I thought that it would be pretty good if I didn't get defeated by just one sprite, but now it looks like I have a chance to win first. No, not just a chance, my chances of winning are very high. Zhao Yingxuan was excited. Even Su Hao sensed that burning gaze. He couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. You, a man, is actually coveting my body? No way. He couldn't stand this grievance. He looked down and issued an order with the contract. We can't dawdle anymore. Dumb unicorn, use the mist field. With a neigh, it stepped on the air and approached the vine demon. At the same time, waves of mist spread, gradually gathering into water droplets, dropping down drop by drop. On the opposite side, Zhao Yingxuan also gave an order. Construct Vine Castle. The vine demon rooted itself in place and didn't move. The ground cracked a few meters around it, and vines broke out of the ground.